Greetings, beloved family, and thank you once again for being here with us today on Occult Science Radio. I am Curtis Davis, aka the Illuminated One, and today we have with us a very special guest who I wish I'd found out about much sooner, because then he would have been a guest on this show much sooner. And he's made some of the most informative, intriguing films that you'd ever want to see. And the question to me is, I know it's a dumb question, but I'm going to ask it anyway, why haven't we seen any of his work on the big screen? But we all know why, and we're going to give him a chance to tell you that. I'm talking about Jay Weidner. And for those who are familiar with his work, then you know we're in for a special treat today. And for those who are not, well, I guarantee you, after today, you'd want to view his work, because there's much to be learned there. And I look at this as just the first of his many appearances, because I've seen excerpts of the man's documentaries, and I was blown away. So I'm going to get through these introductions so we can bring our distinguished guest to the forefront. We're going to start off by thanking our sponsors, Per Ankh Incorporated Chemniversity, and they are located at www.perankhletteru.org. And also the Ancient Mysteries Bookstore, which can be found right here on Occult Science Radio's main page in the links, and also at the bottom of the page, where you'll also find the Occult Science Radio Book Club. Many of the guests that you hear here on Occult Science Radio, you will find their literature in the Ancient Mysteries Bookstore, as well as the Occult Science Radio Book Club. So please, family, call in with your questions at 646-649-1987. That's 646-649-1987. And please don't forget to press number 1 so I can see you on the switchboard and take your wonderful questions and comments. Now, we've gotten through that. It's time to bring our distinguished guest to the forefront. Jay, are you there, my friend?
I am.
Greetings, my friend. Thank you. Please pardon me for not having you on here sooner. But yes, I mean, wow. I mean, after looking at your work, Sacred Mysteries, Secrets of Alchemy, we're going to start off, this is your first time. Welcome to the family. And please just give us some background on yourself, my friend, to let us know what led you to make such powerful films and documentaries, and what brought you to this point in life, please.
Well, let's see. I had my first religious experience when I was 15, when I saw 2001: A Space Odyssey for the first time on the Cinerama screen, and decided that I wanted to be a filmmaker from that point on. I went out to Hollywood and wrote screenplays for some rather abominable horror films, but it was the only work I could get. And in 1986, I was at a garage sale, and a gentleman had died and left a lot of occult books for sale, very, very expensive occult books, which the woman who was selling the books charged $1 for each book because she didn't know what they were. And so I had a $20 bill in my pocket and bought 20 books, of which I own all of them still. And one of the books that I bought was a book called Mystery of the Cathedrals by an enigmatic, anonymous man named Fulcanelli. And I thought it was a book on architecture, actually, and I've always liked Gothic cathedrals, so I started reading the book, thinking I was going to read a book on Gothic architecture, and instead I found out that it was a book about a strange subject I knew nothing about called alchemy, and I read the book and got rather irritated because I couldn't understand it. Thinking I'm a pretty smart guy, I threw the book against the wall and said, "This is rubbish." And then a few days later I picked the book up and tried to read it again and still couldn't understand it, threw it against the wall, picked it up a couple days later, and this went on for about 2 years. And eventually, though, I began understanding the book. And as I understood the book, I realized that I was reading a book by probably one of the smartest people that had ever put a pen to paper, and decided that I would go whole hog into it and find out what this was really all about. And I went from an atheist, a person who believed that science was the answer to everything, to what I am today, which is pretty much completely opposite that. And I owe it all to Fulcanelli. And so in 1999, my wife Sharon Rose and I decided that we would create a film company that would produce films that no one else seemed to have the cojones to want to produce. And we began then, and here we are, 11 years later, 10 and a half years later, and we've now produced 17 films so far. Our newest film is Infinity, The Ultimate Trip, Journey Beyond Death, and we're going into features next. So it's been a long journey. I've written 2 books, Mysteries of the Great Cross of Henday, Alchemy at the End of Time, and A Monument to the End of Time, Alchemy, the Fulcanelli, and the Great Cross. And basically, my books are about and my film, Secrets of Alchemy, is about this cross in the south of France, which, after I deciphered it, is predicting that this age that we're living in, not the world, but this age, is coming to an end. And a new age will begin. And so that's the crux of my work. I'm trying to bring it out to as many people who will listen, because the world that we're in right now is in a severe crisis, and this crisis is going to get much, much worse. And I'm trying to show people that we need to use this crisis to... anything is possible right now, and we need to understand that the people in charge are losing their power, and that's why they're freaking out. And that's a good thing. And so we need to grab the reins of power, not in the old way, not in the old ages way, but in a new way. And so this world is going to be radically altered in a very short time. I don't know if it'll be 2012, but it could be. Either way, I guarantee you, beyond any shadow of a doubt, by 2020, 2025, you're not going to recognize this world anymore. And it's our choice right now to decide whether the world that's coming is going to be a world which is a world filled with video cameras and RoboCops, or a world where we're living in a semblance of peace and harmony. And I'm going for the latter. Even though, the odds are that the former is going to win, I am an eternal optimist, and I'm trying to get the word out. My old friend Terence McKenna used to say that in the end, the best argument will win. And I'm trying to articulate the best argument so that at least that voice is being heard in the chaos and maelstrom of the chaos of the nightmare that's going on in the media right now. So that's all I can do, is just do my bit. And you're right, my films will probably never see the big screen, because the people that run the cinema business don't want this message out. And it has nothing to do with money. These films could make tons and tons of money. The people in power don't really care about money. Everyone thinks that they're in it for the money, but they're not, I assure you. They're not in it for the money. They have plenty of money. That what they're in it for now is strictly power. And everything that they're doing is just to gain power. And we have to say no. No is now my favorite word. And we need to say, no, we're not going to follow your rules. We're not going to have our children serve in your military. We're not going to eat your crappy food. And we're going to create a parallel civilization to the one that they've created. And by example, we will win the argument. And that's basically my mission right now, to get the truth out in any form that is possible with integrity.
Ah, yes, I see. And yeah, I'm so glad that I can appreciate what you're saying, Jay, because yeah, you have so much great work out there. You know, and we're going to get to Infinity in a minute. But you're a filmmaker, okay, and you know, you're on the West Coast, so you know you have your finger on the pulse of how the movie industry works. Now, what I've been seeing the past several years, you know, they have, well, it's been going on a lot longer than that, but I see that Hollywood is releasing a lot of movies that appear, okay, appear being the operative word here, appear to have metaphysical undertones. And there are people out there that, you know, are so naive, sad to say, these are adults, that believe that they are trying to bring truth out there. The Star Wars movies, the Matrix movies, and, you know, they have the appearance of metaphysical movies and trying to open our eyes. But you and I both know that that's not the case, you know, that it's done for entertainment. So what do you think about Hollywood releasing these movies? And now we have Avatar. Avatar is the new movie that everybody's jumping up and down about now. What's your opinions on that?
Well, actually, I think that, I don't know if you're aware of Avatar depression syndrome, but I'm serious. Psychiatrists and psychologists are reporting that they're getting waves of patients who are in severe depression after seeing Avatar. And no, and what they're saying is that A, they want to live in the world of the Na'vi, and B, they're ashamed that they're part of the aggressors, the bad guys in the movie, who are really us. And so I think Cameron is an exception to the Hollywood rules. He didn't grow up in a rich family. He was a poor kid from Canada. He was a truck driver until he got his first break in Hollywood. So he isn't soaked in the elite idea that they're superior. And so I take exception with Cameron. I think he actually has hit a nerve. I knew the minute that the movie ended that it was going to be the biggest hit of all time. I saw it 3 days after it opened. And I walked out of the theater and told my wife that that's going to be the biggest hit of all time. She said, "How do you know that?" And I said, "Because he's hit a nerve that is so huge, so gigantic. And the nerve that he's hit is actually a pathway towards the world that is coming. We're actually going to move into a world, I believe, and I know this is going to sound absolutely outrageous, but we're moving into a world where we're going to actually become hunter-gatherers, I think, again. And and I know that most people think hunter-gatherers are primitive ape men living in caves and all that, but from the work of Robert Lawler on the Aborigines of Australia, we know that, in fact, the hunter-gatherers are superior to us in every way, and that we've actually let our skills, our psychic skills, our certain kinds of skills atrophy by relying on technology. And the first Scots and Irish that arrived in Tasmania discovered that what they thought were primitive people because they wore no clothes, even though Tasmania has a climate very similar to, say, British Columbia or northern Washington State, and they didn't use any fire to keep warm, and they could actually melt snow before it hit their bodies. They were practicing tumo, which is a Tibetan practice of inner fire, and they were extremely advanced people. And so our idea that the primitive people were somehow beneath us is exactly opposite. And James Cameron tapped into that with the Na'vi, showing them that the respect for life and the respect for the planet and all of that. And Hollywood paid him back by not giving him any Academy Awards and giving it to his ex-wife, who made a film which I have not seen, but I hear is really not all that good of a film, The Hurt Locker. So Cameron, because of his power, has broken all the rules in Hollywood, and he's made the biggest film of all time, and he actually owns the second biggest film of all time also, which is Titanic, which is also a very interesting film about the end of our age. He's using the Titanic as a symbolic icon of what this world is, a world of iron and technology, a world that not even God can sink the Titanic, as one of the characters says in the movie, with complete hubris. And we know that when the captain tells the first mate to turn all 5 engines on, and he says, but sir, there's icebergs everywhere, we in the audience know what's going to happen. And Cameron uses our foreknowledge of what happened in Titanic to not show us what it was like to be in a disaster, but what it's like to know that a disaster's coming, because everyone in the audience knows the ending of Titanic, and to show how the world just naively goes on, even though a disaster is imminent. And so he is, in Avatar, he's like showing us the world after the Titanic sinks, the world of the Na'vi. And so I think Cameron has tapped into it. These other films, although I did like the first Matrix, I didn't like the other ones. The rest of these films are made by people who have done focus groups. In Hollywood, they decide to make a film by doing focus groups. And they do these focus groups, and they hear all these people saying, oh, I want, films that are spiritual, and I want films that show my children, a better world, and they see this, and they hear this, and then they go out and they make, the crap that they make. And so it's superficially, it looks and appears to be something that is cosmic and grand, but when you start scratching the surface, there's nothing underneath. And that's going to continue. I do think that the success of Sacred Mysteries films has influenced Hollywood, and they see that there is money to be made. But fortunately for all of us, the corporate managers of Hollywood could never make a truly spiritual film. It takes someone like James Cameron to do an end run around the accountants, because they have to let James Cameron do whatever he wants, because he's James Cameron. And so he's really the greatest subversive alive on Earth. I like to think I'm the second greatest subversive alive on Earth, but I don't know. And so it's really an act of just doing what you think is right, and then watching the chips fall where they may. And I think that the success of Sacred Mysteries and the success of Avatar are proof that the American people in general and the people of the world know that they're in for a monumental shift in consciousness, which is already upon us. And the fact that Cameron had the cojones to make the military, the U.S. military, the bad guys, and to really show what we have been doing to other people for the last 5,000 years, and to show it clearly is, an amazing event. And so that's my opinion on Hollywood. I'm not too happy with Hollywood, and I haven't been for a long time. Outside of Stanley Kubrick and Roman Polanski and a few others, I don't really care much for what they're producing.
Oh, I can certainly stand with you there, my friend. You said something earlier about our over-reliance on technology, and because of it, we have forsaken our innate abilities, if you will. And admittedly, I've always been a big fan of the Star Wars movies and the Matrix movies. And I recall in the original Star Wars movie, the very first one, that Darth Vader said something when they were all sitting around and they were bragging about the new Death Star they built. He said something. He said, "Don't be too proud of this technological terror that you've constructed. The ability to destroy a planet is insignificant next to the power of the Force."
Yeah.
And then when I went back and thought about that, I said, wow, because we're in a society where we tend to look at things in the past as primitive and look at what's going on today as modern, innovative. But also at the beginning of those movies, they say a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Okay, and when I look at those movies, they're utilizing a lot of high technology. So now it leads one to believe, or at least it led me to believe that, well, wait a minute, if they were doing this a long, long time ago using that type of technology, then could it be possible that we're the primitive ones?
Well, we are actually, because the people that have given us technology are only giving us technology so that we can be their slaves.
Oh.
And they don't want us to find out about the real goods that are going on, which is something so astounding and so unbelievable. And either George Lucas and Joseph Campbell, who helped Lucas write those first 3 scripts, either they know what I know, or there's a cultural meme that they're tapping into. So I'm not sure exactly how ideas are being filtered down. It may be that Joseph Campbell, had been taken in and shown some things early on, and then he transmitted that information to George Lucas. But either way, the whole idea of the Force in the Star Wars movies is the reason why they're hits. Because, again, Lucas is tapping into this central meme about who we really are and what kind of power we really have. And the leaders of this world have purposefully told us that we don't have those powers, have mocked those powers, because they are deathly afraid of us ever reacquiring those abilities, which we are on the very edge of doing. And so it's going to be quite amusing to watch us as we become more psychic, as we become more powerful, and they become less powerful. And this is all about us creating our own dream. We have been living the dreams of the dark sorcerers for the last 6,000 years, and that nightmare is disappearing now, and we are left with a world that has been wrecked, first off, by them, and then secondly, our powers have atrophied, and we need to rapidly rediscover these abilities, because they're going to be the only thing that's going to save us. There's the central operating principle of this society is disappearing right now, and it's not coming back. If you think the jobs are coming back, if you think the economy is coming back, if you think any of these things, if you think that world that you grew up in is coming back, you are in for a very, very, very nasty surprise. And I can't say enough about that. So we need to come to grips with reality. We need to understand that world really wasn't that great, that it actually has destroyed us spiritually. And we have a chance, a very slim chance, but we still have a chance now to regain our aptitude and come back to who we really are, which is very powerful. We are I'm a biocentrist. I believe that human beings are the most important thing in the physical universe, and that the angels and the enlightened beings are doing everything they can to help us, and doing everything they can to screw up the people that are doing us wrong. And so we will see where this goes. But films like Star Wars and The Matrix and Avatar, they're definitely pointing the way towards this new humanity, which is emerging, whom I call Homo Luminous, or the Man of Light. And I don't think there's anything that can stop it. The real question now is how many of us will make that transition. And I'm trying to tell people that if you can make this transition, it's very possible, and you need to start now.
I see. And, even with correct me if I'm wrong, you're the filmmaker here, so you would know better than I do, because I'm also a fan of the Matrix movies. Like you said, when I go back to the first Matrix movie, it appears, and I emphasize that word appear, the message that I took from that first Matrix movie was exactly the transformation that you described that we're going to go through. You know, Neo was just a regular 9-to-5 guy going to work every day, and until Morpheus discovered him, and then he trained him and turned him. He brought those innate powers out of him, and as you said, as Neo grew stronger, you know, the same powers that grew weaker because they did everything they could to attempt to stop him. And once his God powers emerged, if you will, they weren't able to stop him. So to me, I took a message from that.
Yeah, and it's a good message, and it's a great film. It's a classic, and yeah, that's exactly right. And this is a continuous cultural meme that's runs through our mythology all the way back, and there's a deep yearning for this return, I think, and I think that Avatar signals that deep yearning, and we're going there. There's no doubt. I mean, it's already happening. People are becoming more psychic. People are noticing that there's more and more synchronicities happening, and synchronicities are really the path to enlightenment. So if you have a lot of synchronicities happening in your life, or even one synchronicity, that's like a coincidence, a cosmic coincidence. If you have a synchronicity happen, or you have a couple or a number of them happen in a row, you better wake up and pay attention, because there is a force trying to tell you something, and it's trying very hard to tell you something. In the old days, we had gurus and masters and teachers, and today we don't really have any more of those, because at the end of time, at the end of this age, synchronicity becomes the master. The universe, the matrix, if you will, of life around us becomes the master. And unless you're paying attention to the messages that the master, i.e. the universe, is giving you, you will be lost. And most people don't pay attention to the amazing amounts of coincidences and synchronicities that occur to them, or they just fluff them off and say, oh, that was weird, and go on with their life. If you have one, you need to stop right where you are and start examining things really quickly, because there are forces that are trying to contact you and tell you something. And I'm a firm believer in that. And so so in the movie Matrix, Morpheus tells him to look for the white rabbit, and of course the girl comes to the door and she has a rabbit tattoo, which leads him to the bar where he meets Trinity. And so Neo went from a guy not paying attention to synchronicities to a guy who suddenly decided to pay attention to a synchronicity and follow it, and then he became who he became. And that is one of the main messages of the film, and it's one of my main messages also. Pay attention. Pay attention when you're being told something. Wake up, and wake up quick. You're not going crazy, you're just waking up.
Ah, I see. Excellent. And, I notice the catchword of the day, Jay, is 2012. 2012. Everybody's looking forward to 2012. Now on one side, we have those that are saying in 2012 the sky's going to fall. Okay, that it's the end of days and the book of Revelations and so on and so forth. That it's going to be Armageddon. But then, there are, wonderful individuals like yourself that say, no, I see it differently. I see it as a new awakening. I see it as people coming into their godhood as well. And when I look at the things that are being said about 2012, they're basically doing the same thing that they did with Y2K. They had everybody in a panic, and when the year 2000 showed up, nothing happened. So now, what are your thoughts and opinions on the coming changes that you see happening in 2012?
Well, I like to say Armageddon out of here, and what I mean by that is that everything is going to happen. time is a construct that we use to meet each other, to go out to lunch, or to show up at work on time, or to catch an airplane or whatever. But it isn't real. We just created it because it's convenient. Okay? At the end of time, which is a phrase I like to use, at the end of this age, everything's going to happen. It's going to be both Armageddon and it's going to be a great world. For some, it depends on who you are. If you're still following the philosophies and the lifestyles of this old world, the one that's going away right now, it's going to be Armageddon for you. It's going to be terrible. If you're not, if you're deciding that you're going to change the way you live, then this next world is going to be really a lot of fun. And so Terence McKenna, my old friend Terence McKenna, used to say, we must live as if the apocalypse has already occurred. And what he means by that is we must live in this world like we're going to live in the next world. And I don't mean like another life. I mean in this life after this age ends. And so we must change and start right now. If we don't, we're going to be caught in the nightmare of the Armageddon, and we don't want that. And that's why I say we have to create a parallel society right here, right now. And we got to do it now. And in this parallel society, we live just by a few simple rules. And I don't want to dictate what those rules are. I think it's pretty obvious what those rules are. You want to have good food. You want to have a loving environment. You want to have a nice community. You want to be able to have friends you can rely on, and family, and take responsibility for the world that we have. And we're not doing that in this world. We're consuming the earth. We don't really care about each other. Our food is filled with toxins. Our air is filled with toxins. The chemtrails are spreading across the skies, and this world cannot go on like it is. It's a finite world, and I want to create a world that's infinite, where the possibilities are infinite for all of us. And I think we can all kind of agree that that's pretty much the road we want to go on. And so we don't need to get complicated. You know, this world is a dream. It is a dream, and and most people are just in the dream. But if you decide that this world is a dream, and that you're in a dream right now, that while you're listening to me, then you can become a lucid dreamer, and you can begin changing your dream into anything you want. And if you make it complicated, and you say, I want a 16-bedroom house in Beverly Hills, or I want to have 85 beautiful women, or whatever, or all the drugs you can take, or all the money in the world, or whatever, you're going to get it, and you're not going to be very happy with it. But if you choose your dream simply and say, I just want to be happy, I just want to have a nice life, then you'll have that. So we have to choose our dream carefully, and that's what I'm trying to instruct. What's going on here is our collective dreams are about to come true. Now, we can choose the collective dreams of the past, which is the book of Revelation, and one blow-by-blow occurrence until the whole world is completely destroyed and gone, or we can make a new dream. And I'm just trying to say, let's make a new dream. And that's what movies can do. Movies can show us what movies are, and why I love film so much is that film, a good film, is like a good dream. Even a horror film is like a good nightmare. I don't mean a good nightmare, but you have a nightmare and it scares the living daylights out of you, and you wake up and it's very disturbing and everything. And a good horror film can do that same thing. And all good films are really evocations of a dreamlike state. The Aborigines in Australia believe that everything originates in the dream time, and then it manifests here. So an Aboriginal couple will dream about what they want their child to look like and to be like, and voila, it happens. And this is the truth of this world. We're in a dream, and we can make this world anything we want. The dark sorcerers who rule this world also know this, and they're weaving dreams for us, and they're not our dreams, and they're not our desires, and they're not our wants. We don't even, what we think we want is really not what we want. And so we get avatar depression syndrome. We see the world that is not anything like the world that we thought we wanted, and it's a world that we want, the world of the Navi, a world where people are connected to the earth and to each other. And we'll get depressed. And I say, why waste your time getting depressed? Let's just make that world. And I think we're headed that way anyway. The civilization, which I regard as not a good thing, is coming to an end. And the people who foisted civilization on us did it to enslave us. And they are leaving. They are going. And they're leaving us behind with a wrecked planet and a wrecked psychology. And we need to understand that and say, okay, this is the lot that we've been given. What are we going to do about it? And in that moment, we can repair the world and repair our own damaged spirit.
I see. And, oh yes, believe me, I choose to see it as, the coming changes. Well, I see them happening now that, I can really appreciate, because I'm with you. I don't choose to see the future as bleak. I choose to see it as something that's beautiful, something that's going to be better than what we have now, and it warms my heart to hear you say that, the powers that be, they're going crazy because, they're losing their power, that we're about to come full circle here. But now, let's talk about your great work, Jay. Now, for those of you who haven't been to jweidner.com, it's a great site. Go there and see what this man has to offer. And I spend a lot of time on your website, and you're known as a modern-day Indiana Jones, if you will. And you have a project coming out right now, Infinity. Please tell us more about that project.
Well, that's all part of what I've been talking about. It's called Infinity, the Ultimate Trip, Journey Beyond Death, and it's with Greg Braden and Neil Donald Walsh and Dannion Brinkley and Brian Weiss and a lot of people who really helped me in this project. And what the point of this film is that it's to show you, A, that there is no such thing as death, that's another lie that's been foisted on us by the powers that be, and two, if there is no death, then there's no fear of death, and therefore there's no fear. And once we get to the place where we know that there's no death, and therefore there's nothing to fear, then they really can't control us. And then we really have the one-up on them. And that's the whole point of the film. It's a really beautiful film. It's my best work. It took 3 years to make, and the imagery is glorious. It's not a talking heads film in any way, shape, or form. It has, incredible cinematography and music by Adham Sheikh, who's one of my favorite composers, and it's gotten rave reviews everywhere, as I knew it would when I finished it. And I didn't even write this film. I mean, I thought I was writing it, but the film actually made itself because I allowed myself to follow synchronicities while making it and just tracking down things that were just occurred out of nowhere. The end result was a film that really evokes not only the experience of death and the past life review, which everyone goes through at death, but also shows you how to come out the other end and to remake your future life in a positive way. So Brian Weiss, a great psychiatrist, uses past life regression. He's in the film and he says, everybody's soul is like a diamond. It's just that some people have a lot more dirt on their diamond than others. And we're all cleaning the dirt off our diamond. And we can't judge someone who has a lot of dirt on their diamond because once we had a lot of dirt on our diamond too. And so what we're doing through life after life is cleaning this diamond. And I believe as we approach 2012, we're going to we're going to have a mass cleansing of our spirit and our soul, and we're going to see ourselves as we really are. And it's probably not going to make us real happy at first, because what we've done is not real cute, and it's not real nice. But that, just because that is true doesn't mean that we have to continue living like that. So yeah, all the films that we've made, 2012, The Odyssey, Time Wave 2013, Secrets of Alchemy, The Alchemical Dream with Terence McKenna, Infinity, The Ultimate Trip, Star Dreams, all these movies all have one major theme, which is the shamanic opening that's going to occur here, is already occurring here at the end of time. And I want to emphasize that don't expect some great change in 2012. It's not going to. It's happening right now. It's been happening for years, and it's going to go on beyond 2012. 2012 is just the year that the Mayans used as a marker because of the solstice that occurs on December 21st, 2012, and the galactic alignment. But the change has been going on, and those of us who are sensitive enough to know that there's something is happening, we know that this is happening, and it's big time, baby. Let me tell you, it's big time. It's nothing to sneeze about. This is huge. This is the biggest thing that's happened in 6,000 years. So, that's all the films are trying to do, is to give people skill sets it's actually let people know that they possess these skill sets that they aren't. I'm not giving them the skill sets. I'm letting them know that they already possess these skill sets, and that it's now time to take these spiritual skills and remake the world. And that's what we're trying to do. And the first way that we can remake the world is to shed our fears. And I'm not saying that, death isn't painful and you shouldn't be afraid of the pain of death. I'm saying don't be afraid of death itself, because death is just the ending of one dream and the beginning of another. And once they realize, the powers that be realize that we are no longer afraid of them, they will wither away in an instant. And when they do, we're all going to go, wow, am I glad that's over.
I see. And, I really would like to get some insight into your movie, Secrets of Alchemy. That title just grabs me, because when I'm 47 years old. I'm a long time movie buff. And, I've also studied metaphysics for quite some time. And that word alchemy has become so synonymous with ancient Egypt, if you will. Please, share with us a little bit of what the Secrets of Alchemy is about, and give us some insights as to, what alchemy actually is.
Well, let's see. Alchemy it was the name of ancient Egypt. It was called alchemy. And it meant the dark lands, or the black lands, which is the black alluvial soil that would be washed up into the delta. But also it's about the transformation from darkness to lightness. And alchemy is going to be the science of the world that's coming. So what alchemy is, it's really kind of the opposite of science. Science likes to take a hammer and bust things up, and then look at what happens after you bust it up, like the Hadron Collider. They like to smash molecules and atoms against each other, and then they're looking for what makes up atoms. And this is how science works. And alchemy isn't interested in that. What alchemy is interested in is the correspondence of nature. So the shape of a sunflower has the same geometry as the shape of a galaxy, and so an alchemist will look at that and realize that there's a central vorticular motion that occurs in nature, and that this is the path of least resistance. And so alchemists don't need to smash things up. They don't need to look down into matter to understand matter. They look up into spirit, and then they fully understand what the material world is. And so as we advance towards this other world, we're going, and this has to do with synchronicities again. Once you start paying attention to synchronicities, then you start paying attention to correspondences. Once you start paying attention to correspondences, then you are an alchemist, because you realize that the fractal nature of reality, that a tree branch looks just like the whole tree, that a twig looks just like the trunk of a tree, and you begin to see that everything is fractal in nature, and that we're fractal. Human beings are fractal. And one of the things that alchemy teaches is, again, it's a biocentric philosophy in which it posits that human beings are the most important thing in the physical universe. I'm not saying that there isn't other beings. I'm just saying that we are the most important thing. And the reason that is because of the peculiar nature of our bodies. We're the only creature on Earth that stands fully upright, with our spine being perpendicular to the surface of the Earth. And what this does is the spine acts like an antenna, and it attenuates the hyperdimensional energy which is surrounding the Earth. And these energy flows come down from us at almost a 90-degree angle from the surface of the Earth. And so when we stand upright, we're facing these energies directly. They're hitting us directly. They're coming down through our pineal gland and striking our spine, and then expanding out through the nervous system, which is attached to the spine. And so when we dream, we're traveling up into the energy stream of the hyperdimensional donut which lies around the planet Earth. And so we can talk to each other through dreams, and we can see the future and the past through dreams. And when we die, our body unfolds on itself and travels back up that energy stream, which is the tunnel of light that people see when they die. And so once you understand that, you understand that there is no death, that actually you're a hyperdimensional being which is eternal, and that you can even choose your future once you become enlightened enough. And this is what alchemy is. It's a study of these hyperdimensional fields and how they affect things. And the Earth is alive, and it has a hyperdimensional field. And this is like a donut. It has a north and a south pole, just like a donut has a hole that goes in the north and to the south. And the energy comes down through the center of the Earth. It expands out from the south, and wraps around the Earth like a donut, and comes back down through the North Pole, and is infinite, essentially. It's an infinite cycle. And you have that, and I have that. It comes down through the top of the head. It comes out through the bottom of the spine. It travels out at about an arm's length around our body in a particular fashion, comes back through the top of the head, and does the whole thing again. And when you're in the city, this hyperdimensional field contracts on itself because of concrete and steel and the electromagnetic disturbances in the city. So the hyperdimensional sphere begins clinging to the very outside of the body, whereas when you're out in the country, you can expand your higher dimensional field pretty much out hundreds of miles if you want. And all things have this. All living things have this field. That's why they're alive. And it's just that they're not standing upright. In alchemy, it's strange, but in the ancient texts of alchemy, they tell us that humans are the number one creature of the Earth. It's true. And then number two, you would think it might be a dolphin or some intelligent animal like a chimpanzee or a dog or something. But instead, they tell us that trees are the next thing that is in order of the hierarchy. And you stop and say, trees? How can a tree be next? And the reason is because trees grow straight up and down. And so this becomes the tree of life, the tree of knowledge, And so trees are also taking this. And if you look at the way that trees grow, you can see that there's a phi ratio geometry involved in the branching of trees, just like there's a phi ratio geometry in the human body. And the more coherent your energy flow, this donut shape, the more coherent it is to the phi ratio numbers, the better you are, the more healthy you are, the better your thought processes. And when this energy flow becomes incoherent, then we become diseased, and even we die. And so this is what yoga is, and Tai Chi, and the first thing they emphasize is to keep your back straight, and the second thing they tell you to do is to keep calm. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to get you to attenuate to this hyperdimensional stream so that you can flow easier. And so these art forms and physical exercises are going to be an integral part of the future that is coming upon us. And it's no accident that more people practice yoga in the United States than they do in India, because the United States is going to be the fulcrum point for this massive turn of events that's about to happen. And so a lot of my friends are leaving the United States because they're afraid of what's about to happen, and they probably should be, because what's about to happen is not going to be very pretty. But I'm staying for two reasons. One, it's going to be one hell of a show, and two, why not be here to influence it? If we're the number one country that's behind this spiritual change, why not be here to help influence it? You know, so that's what alchemy is. It's these higher dimensional fields and how they interact with each other. And when you know this, and if you want to know what I really mean, go look up either get our film Art Mind with Alex Gray, or pick up Alex Gray's books, his art books. He's the greatest artist of our age, and he portrays the hyperdimensional field better than anyone could ever do. And once you see this and understand it, your view of your fellow humans and animals and plants completely changes, and you see them not as flesh and blood, but as spiritual beings. And when that happens, you know, there's a great compassion overwhelms you, and it's difficult to be mean to people, and it's difficult to hurt other creatures, because you realize that you're hurting yourself, because they are you and you are them. I am you and you are me, and that becomes blatantly obvious once you advance up into these levels of understanding. Hello? What happened? I got cut off.
Yes, we are back. We had some technical difficulties there. We apologize. Jay, are you there?
I am, but you know the archons do everything they can to keep the truth from getting out.
Oh, yes, and I truly apologize for that. You know, it happens quite frequently. But, yes, I apologize to you and to the family for that. But not to worry, because this is just an introductory appearance. And like you said, my friend, they do anything to keep the truth from getting out. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to be in your ear within 24 to 48 hours to arrange your next appearance, my friend. It was a pleasure. But we're winding down, so take a minute or two to let everybody know how we can get our hands on your great material and your website, please.
Yeah, it's the place to buy my films is sacredmysteries.com, and you can read all of my articles for free up on Jay Weidner. That's JAYWEI, D as in David, N as in Nancy, ER.com, and wade through those, and have fun.
Oh, yes. And we extend our heartfelt thanks to you, my friend, despite our slight technical difficulties here, for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here with us today on Occult Science Radio. And I just want to let everybody know, tune in tomorrow, the same time at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, where we will have Sharon Rose with us. I believe, Jay, you know who Sharon Rose is, right? You know, she says she knows you or something like that.
Oh, yeah, I recall her. Yeah, actually, she's the most beautiful woman on earth, but then I'm prejudiced, so, because she's my wife. So,
oh, yes.
Great guest, and you'll have a lot of fun with her.
Oh, yeah, I look forward to it. And once again, my friend, thank you so much. And I'm already planning your next appearance. Thank you again, my friend.
We'll see you later. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, too, beloved family, for being here with us today on Occult Science Radio. I am Curtis Davis, a.k.a. the Illuminated One, and we apologize for the technical difficulties, such as the way things goes when the truth is coming out. But please tune in tomorrow when we will have the spouse of Jay Weidner, Miss Sharon Rose, at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. Peace, love, and power, beloved family, and please, please walk with strength. Peace.